Welcome, viewing audience. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Bilalian Voices in the tradition of Imam W. Deen Mohammed. Today's date is May 15th, 2025, and this is episode number 48. And today's featured guest is our brother Kenneth James out of Houston, Texas, joining us today by way of Nashville, Tennessee. And he will explain more of that in our discussion. We're looking forward to speaking with our brother Kenneth James on this episode of Bilalian Voices. I am your host, Imam Terenzo El-Amin, located here in Cincinnati, Ohio, owner of El-AminPriorityDistributors.com, the maker of the beautiful Bilalian apparel, and also distributor of Muslim American leader Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed. His two outstanding books you can find at El-AminPriorityDistributors.com. Joining me tonight as co-host is Imam Hanif Abdul Wahid out of Rochester, New York. You will be hearing more from him. Assalamu
alaikum.
Before we get into our discussion with our brother Kenneth James, we'd like to share with the viewing audience announcements associated with the leadership of Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed. You are cordially invited to the New Africa Cultural and Business Summit to take place here in Cincinnati, Ohio on the Juneteenth weekend, Saturday, June 14th, 2025, featuring a major public address by Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed. His address is entitled Enlightenment, Dignity, Excellence, and Establishment, Islam's Help to the Needy and Affluent. This will take place at the Cincinnati and Hamilton County Public Library. They're at 800 Vine Street. Doors open at 12 noon. Attendance is free and open to the public. And I say this to our viewing audience. If you are in the Midwest, Ohio, Kentucky, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Indiana, and you say you support the continuation and continuity of Imam W. Deen Mohammed's leadership in 2025, I would advise you strongly to be at this event, be in attendance at this event to benefit from the tradition of thinking emanating from Imam W. Deen Mohammed. The fourth annual Independence Day address in the tradition of Imam W. Deen Mohammed will take place on Saturday, July 5th, 2025, there in Rochester, New York. The address coming from Muslim American leader Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed is entitled The Commencement of America, Dawning of the Just Order. This event will take place at the distinguished Rochester Memorial Art Gallery. Doors open at 12 noon with a live performance by Rochester's international recording artist, Mr. Jimmy Highsmith. And I went and looked up Mr. Jimmy Highsmith on YouTube, and if you get a chance, I think if you like good music, you will enjoy Mr. Highsmith's music. Attendance for this event is free and open to the public. For more information on both events that I just mentioned, go to MuslimAmericanMinistry.com. Join us every Sunday morning for a free, productive Islamic studies class and discussion taught in the tradition of Muhammad the Prophet with the methodology of Imam W. Deen Mohammed, taught by his partner and successor, Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed. This very valuable Islamic studies class takes place every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. To be able to participate, you would need to register by going to eamspeaks.com and hit the tab Islamic Studies class. It's a free class every Sunday morning, taught in the tradition of Muhammad the Prophet with the methods of Imam W. Deen Mohammed by his partner and successor, led by his partner and successor, Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed. Now I'd like to turn it over to my co-host, Imam Hanif Abdul Wahid.
Assalamu alaikum, believers, and welcome to Bilalian Voices. This is our 48th episode. We've been having this show since February of 2024, and we've had outstanding guests to come on and share with us their understanding of the faith, the religion, and them coming to Al-Islam. And tonight we have our brother from Houston, Texas, Kenneth James. Brother Kenneth, I wanted to ask if you could just share with us your journey into Islam. And after accepting Islam, how did you come to the understanding or leadership of Imam W. D. Muhammad?
Wow. That's an interesting question. First, I'd like to thank you, brothers, for allowing me to come on your show and to share my story. I really do appreciate it. To answer your question, I think I have to go back in time. You know, I came into Islam as a young man. I was probably approximately about 25, maybe, or 24, 25. Like a lot of brothers. I grew up. I guess I grew up. I didn't have a lot of focus, and that lack of focus and that lack of discipline eventually led me into the prison complex, and prison, or what they call the prison industrial complex, the pipeline, if you may. So the pipeline is basically young brothers are 16, 17 and younger. We kind of like fed into the belly of the beast, through lack of focus and lack of discipline. So at 25, I found myself in prison, big boy prison. I just, wasn't kiddie prison, wasn't, jail. I was in penitentiary at 25, 25 years old. And I actually, the crime that I committed actually sent me there at 23. But you don't have to go through the little process, the little jail process. So I ended up getting into the penitentiary when I was like 25. But my process in getting into Islam started when I was in the county jail. They had an episode on television. It was talking about Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam, and that really got me interested in wanting to improve my condition. I wanted to be a better person. Because when I got there, I realized that whatever got me into this situation needed to change. I needed to change. I needed to create discipline for myself. I needed to create a focus for myself. And Malcolm X was like my idol. Was like my hero. I looked at him and I saw the discipline that he had, and how well spoken he was, and how well he dressed, and I took that as like that was my role model. So in that cell, I remember I was like, man, I need to give me a Quran. So I asked my mom. I got on the phone, the jail phone, I asked my mom for a Quran. My mom was like, well, I don't even know what a Quran is. My mom, a Christian lady, is like, I don't know what a Quran is. And I tried to explain it to her, and she was like, okay, I think I know where to get one. There was a bookstore in town. So she ended up going to the bookstore, and on one of her visits, she brought me the Quran, and she gave the guard the Quran. The guard gave me the Quran, and I began to try to read it. But I couldn't understand it. You know, I was used to the Bible. So I'm reading the Quran, and I start, with chapter, Al-Fatiha chapter 1, and I'm reading that. And then I go to chapter 2, and I'm reading that, and honestly, nothing made sense. And I remember I got my time, and they sent me to the penitentiary. And I still had my little paperback Quran, didn't have any Arabic in it, just my little paperback Quran. And I get on the yard, and they had some Muslim brothers out there. They were out there, and they were making salat they were making salat. I didn't know it was salat at the time. I know they were just praying. So they were making salat out there on the yard, and it kind of caught my attention. It's probably like 10 of those brothers out there on the yard. All, they was off to the side. And the demeanor how they carried themselves, right? That kind of, reminded me of the type of individual that I wanted to be. I wanted to be calm. I wanted to be a brother that was in control of his emotions, that that didn't lash out, wasn't angry, was disciplined, and that was the type of individual that I wanted to be. Because like I said, Malcolm was my brother, and everything. Malcolm was my role model. Everything I seen in Malcolm, I can look over on the yard, and I can see these brothers, and they carried themselves. Their demeanor was similar. So eventually, kind of, how you meet people. I ended up meeting a brother, and he was, he was a member of that group, and we got struck with conversation. He invited me to come to one of their meetings, and when I went to the meeting, I didn't know what to expect. Right, I'm thinking this was maybe going to be like kind of like a Nation of Islam type of meeting, but it wasn't. This was a group under the leadership of Imam Deen Mohammed. And I didn't know who Imam Deen Mohammed was at all. But I stayed with it. And I used to started going out every day, and I started learning. I started learning the history of the community and understanding, where we came from and where we are now. And the discipline and the character and the focus and all the things that I was looking for was right here in the community. I didn't have to go outside of the community and those brothers in order to gain the tools that I needed in order to better myself. Everything that I needed to improve my condition was right here, and it was right here under the teachings of Imam Deen Mohammed. So I did 14 years in prison. I did 14 years in prison, and for the entirety of those 14 years, I was under the leadership of Imam Mohammed. I remember, man, anything that came in about him, man, I used to get. Like, I remember the journals, because he used to be heavy in the journals. So I had a subscription of the journals. So anything that he put out, I just wanted to just have more of it. And during that time, they had what you call, like, a local imam. So imam used to come from the street. I forgot that brother's name. He was a good brother. He used to come off the street, and probably like once a month or once every 2 months, he'll come off the street, and he'll give the khutbah. He'll give the Friday khutbah, and it was always a pleasure to hear that brother's khutbah, because he'd always let us know what was going on in the community outside of the prison wall. So we would get, the Islam. We would get the Islam that we needed inside the prison, but then they always had a brother that came from the outside that would, encourage us and give us news of how the community was functioning on the outside. So so for me, I always had kind of like a balanced understanding of community life.
That's good. And so you said that you had to do 14 years up under that discipline. And so being disciplined up under the leadership of Imam W. Deen Mohammed, when you finally did get out, were you able to go to one of his places that were familiar with his teaching and stuff like that, and become
Not
active in
in,
the community?
not initially. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. It took me after I got out of prison. It must have took me, I want to say, about 3 or 4 years after I got out of prison before I started looking for one of the masters that was under his leadership. By this time, I was I think the email passed me to maybe transition with 2008, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I got out of prison in like 2012. So from between 2000 from like 2008 and 2000, by the time I got out, things had begun to change.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
uh, Man, things had begun to change. I remember I had like a little disciplinary issue in prison, and they put you in segregation, right? You be in segregation, you be in like a cell by yourself. And
Right.
they might keep you in that cell for like 3 months.
Mhm.
So I was in that dark place for like 3 months, and during that 3 months, the email had transition, right? I didn't even know the email had transition. But when I got out, I could tell things was different. It's like it's like an umbilical cord was cut. You know what I mean? It's
Mm.
like it was so strange. Uh, we weren't. It's like when the email transition, it's like immediately things had just got severed,
Mm.
and from that moment, we weren't able to um, have that same connection that we
Right.
had before.
Okay.
Let,
And
let,
mm,
let me ask you this here, and that that happened to so many of the believers after the Imam had passed away, is that the community was starting to decline because they didn't have that direction. But fast forward, you found Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed. Tell us about that.
yeah, so I started looking for probably about 4 years after I got out. I started looking for that connection again. I needed that connection. There's some things that was going on, personally in my life. And by that time, I had got married, but I was still after I got out, life had started moving, and I began to lose that focus that I had when I was in prison. And I knew if I didn't regain that focus, uh, there's a high likelihood that I would probably either be incarcerated again. So I started, it was like a call. I needed to find that focus again.
Hmm.
Uh, so I was telling my wife. My wife was like, "Hey man, why don't you go see if you can find that community again?" So I started looking, and I found a community in Houston. And it turns out that mosque, the mosque, the masjid that I found in Houston was established under the leadership of Imam Deen Mohammed, maybe like 30 or 40 years, like 30 years ago, right? It was established under his leadership. But when I went to the mosque, it's like it was nothing that I didn't recognize his leadership at all. Like
Hmm.
the mosque, it was probably like maybe like 30 or probably more than that, probably like 40 or 50%, maybe, immigrant Muslims. There's nothing wrong with immigrant Muslims, we Muslims.
Yeah.
But the teachings that the Friday khutbahs was something that I didn't recognize, right? The khutbahs, basically, the brothers was just kind of like reading from a pre-written script.
Right.
But I didn't recognize any of the teachings of Imam Deen Mohammed, and I was kind of upset behind that. You know, I'm thinking I was gonna go to I was gonna go to a community established by Imam Deen Mohammed, and I was gonna get those same teachings, but I didn't. I didn't recognize it or anything like that. And a few more years had passed. Probably up to this present time. A few more years had passed, and I never gave up my search for trying to find a community that was taught that had the same principles of Imam W. Muhammad. I never gave up my search. So it just so happened I was looking on YouTube. I was on YouTube and I saw the Imam. I saw the Imam Malik, Earl Malik Muhammad. I saw him and his teachings. It resonated so strong with me at the time. I was like, man, this brother teaches just like Imam W. Muhammad.
Right.
And I kind of remembered him because I used to get the journals. And I was like, man, I know that ain't that brother. He had changed from the last time I saw him. He had hair. Brother had hair. Brother had hair. So I was like, I know that. It looks like that brother. I know it. So I started doing some research and I realized that is that brother. I see that brother on stage. Like he used to be in the journal, like Imam W. Muhammad. He used to be behind the podium. And the Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed, he used to sitting in a chair. He was either standing close to the Imam or he was sitting in a chair close to him. I'm like, man, that's the brother right there. And you know, I started digesting those YouTube videos whenever, you know, when he speak. And it just, everything that he said reminded me of Imam W. Muhammad. Mm-hmm. And from that's how, I ended up getting into the Sunday studies classes. Yes, to get closer to that knowledge, to get closer to the same knowledge that I remember from Imam W. Muhammad.
That's a very interesting story, Brother Kenneth. I want to turn it over to Imam Terenzo right now. Imam, how did you feel just now, him recounting that story? It sounded like the rest of us, right?
Imam Hanif, I'm listening to the brother. Me and him personally have a lot of similarities. When he was speaking, I heard a lot of my story within that story of his. And it just shows you the potency of Imam W. Muhammad's teaching and influence. What I want to ask Brother Kenneth, listening to you speak, you offer some keen observations. When you mentioned about you going to solitary confinement, and this is you when you're incarcerated, that during that time, Imam Muhammad transitioned, you noticed immediately that something was off concerning our community and the influence even in the prison environment. That's significant there. When you said that, just that your antennas, something is off. And you used the word severing. And that's exactly what happened. A lot of severing the relationship that Imam W. Muhammad had established. What I want to bring to you now is that we have a clip from the ministry, the Muslim American Ministry for Human Salvation. It's a clip stating that Imam W. Muhammad did choose a successor. Would you like to get your feelings, comments after we play the clip?
Yes, sir.
Our leader, Imam W. Deen Mohammed, son of Honorable Elijah Muhammad, did he say to any of us, and I was very, very close with him now, especially those latter years of his life, did he tell us that somebody was coming after him to save us? No, I help you. No. Did he say to us that he was appointing a successor? No.
And if I fall dead right now, you look for one that came up like I did. Say, hey, where's one that don't follow sheikhs and don't follow anybody else but this idea? Okay, come on, brother. You have to take Imam Deen Muhammad's place.
So if something's going to be, you should keep your leader informed. Your leader is more important to be kept informed than anybody else.
That's right. That's right.
If your leader has to do something, you should be keeping him informed.
That's right.
Telling you so you'll be better to the next leader.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you'll do a better job for the next leader. We want progress.
That's right.
And don't think
oh, what we gonna do when Imam W. Mohammed is not with us anymore? The same thing we did when Honorable Elijah Muhammad was not with us anymore. Allah is gonna show us the one we're supposed to support. Yes, yes. Don't worry about that.
If something happens to me, you'll get a new leader. And Allah will bless you with a new leader, very much like myself.
It's the common doctrine of dignity of human life. It's there for everyone to grab, everyone to enjoy. But the establishment of society upon that dignity is a struggle, and you have to chase it, and you have to have a discipline for it, and you have to have a taste for it. You have to be sensitized to carry that weight and that obligation. And there's no successor to Imam W. Deen Mohammed. There's no acceptance of that responsibility in the life after his life. No. Those that argue against it are involved in a deliberate, diabolical scheme to weaken a people that God designated. You think I'm calling attention to my importance? I'm calling attention to the importance of the continuation of this sensitivity for every generation of our community going all the way to the end of time. This is not just about Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed. I'm just the present one. There's one coming after me and one coming after that one and so forth and so on, male and female, until there's no more life on this earth.
Our leader, Imam W.
Wow.
Praise be to Allah.
It's still potent. That was made about 2 or 3 months ago, and very potent in what it says. And what I want to ask you, my brother Kenneth, like the question concluded, what does your better self say?
My better self says that we have a successor to Imam Deen Mohammed, and in the person of Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed. You know, in military, it says if you're in battle and you know you have a battle flag, if that battle flag is ever dropped in battle, someone else is supposed to pick up that battle flag and raise it high and carry it.
Yes.
Right.
Analogy. Yes.
And that's how I look at, you know, this situation with Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed. When Imam Deen Mohammed transitioned, he just said in the video, look for someone else. And when you look for someone else, you will recognize that person in the same vein, right, as the Imam.
Mm-hmm.
He would have the same character. He would have the same demeanor. He would have the same teachings, right? We should look for someone in that same vein. And when I saw the Imam, when I was looking for focus, when I was looking for discipline, right? I saw the Imam, and I immediately recognized him as being a person that was in the same vein of Imam Deen Mohammed.
Yeah, he picked up the flag.
He picked up the flag.
Yes.
He picked up the flag, and he carried it, and he's raising it, and he's raising it high.
It's good.
That's an excellent picture.
Yes, it is.
And for a long time, like I was saying, when I came out of solitary, I recognized that the flag had been dropped. Right? I recognized that the Imam had transitioned, and at that point, the flag had been dropped, and I'm assuming for a long time, no one was there to pick that flag up until the Imam he decided to pick it up.
Yes.
And as the brother said about stagnation, I believe that's that period of, you know, that was the period of stagnation when the flag was dropped and no one was really there to pick it up and raise it high until the Imam picked it up. So, you know, that's where we are today.
Praise be to Allah. That's
All
an excellent picture. Excellent
Yes.
picture. Raising the flag have ties to our history with Muhammad the Prophet, the prayers and peace be upon him. We got to hold the flag up. Imam W. Deen Mohammed, I was sharing with the brother today, it is almost as after Imam Muhammad passed in 2008, like our community has no enemies. Our community is not engaged in no battle for the good of the society. Like we wouldn't have no more tests or anything. Imam Muhammad prepared us for all of that, and he kept us alert. And after he passed, they saying things like "Give Imam W.D. Muhammad, but don't say his name." You know, that was popular about 7 years ago, 6 years ago. That was very popular to say, "Give Imam Muhammad, give his teachings, but disassociate his name from it." Somebody put that in the atmosphere. And it wasn't until Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed picked up that flag in the public and said, "No more of this foolishness." Exactly what had happened. No more of this foolishness in the name of Imam W. Deen Mohammed.
Right. Yeah, and I recognize that. You know, you have to have a head. You know, you can't have a body. You can't have a body without the head, right? And it seems like our community, or members of our community, they want to function as a body of Muslims,
Yes.
but don't want to recognize the head,
Right.
right? And man, there's an analogy. That's a zombie. You just got the body.
It is.
You just got the body. The body's functioning, right? But you don't have the head. You know, you're just a zombie, right? You need a complete person. You need the complete thinking person. And Imam Earl Abdul Muhammad, he represents that head. He represents the head. And it's time for the body to get in line.
Yes. Yes.
Right? It's time for the body to understand that it's not going to be successful on its own. It's not going to be able to get to the success, create the success without the head. So, you know, wherever those brothers are, you know, I just want to say it's time for us to get back in line. It's time for us to have that discipline. It's time for us to have that focus and to organize ourselves, you know, as a community that respects leadership. That respects the head.
Yeah, the work is not finished.
No.
Yeah.
That
flag has been picked up, and the work has been laid out for us.
We had a comment, and the comment is from Imam Abdullah, excuse me. He says, what they claimed was the teaching of Imam W.D. Muhammad did not measure up, referring to give Imam Muhammad, but don't say his name. What they claimed was the teaching of Imam W.D. Muhammad didn't measure up, and they wouldn't say his name. If it wasn't for Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed, they would have buried the leadership. True statement. And it looked like we lost our brother for a moment.
Yeah, he'll come back on. But he made some very salient points here tonight in terms of what was missing in his life. He made us feel the absence of Imam W.D. Muhammad, the way that he explained it. And many of us have felt the same way, you know?
Yes. And it's organic. You know, we all are not in cahoots from all across the country, having these same sentiments, same stories in regards to our attachment to Imam W.D. Muhammad.
Right.
We were looking for to satisfy that urge and that demand that we have in us for his leadership in 2025. We got our brother Kenneth back with us.
I apologize, brother.
Oh, you fine. We know internet connection get weak. But what we want to do now, I know we had talked in the past, Brother Kenneth, and I listened to you in our Islamic studies class on Sunday morning with some of the questions that you have had. I know you have a strong interest in business in the sense of a showing of us collective, us having a collective strong showing in business as African Americans. I know you have that interest. What we want to do now is we want to talk about the concept New Africa as it relates to business and culture. What we want to do is play a clip where Imam W. Deen Mohammed speaks from the historic Apollo Theater, and he explains the concept of New Africa and how it's not limited just to the business people, but it covers the whole life for us here in America as a new people. And we'll speak on the other side.
New Africa, this is an expression that our business people grab, New Africa, and they have opened businesses in that name. New Africa this, New Africa that. But it's not limited to, that expression is not limited to just the business life. That expression, as we understand it in our circle here, carries the meaning of the whole life. We believe that, like other people who are called, or who have, called the area that they chose to live in, Newfoundland, New England, this whole area in the northeast area, New England, Newark, New Jersey near us, and New York, where we are right now, New York. York was in Europe and still in Europe, but the people who came here, they wanted to bring their life from that land across the waters to this land here, and they wanted it to be their life. So they named it New York, so that they would have an identity with their past life, and it would say to them and to others that we want our life to begin here again, have a new start for our life. And I think more of our leaders will welcome the expression New Africa as they begin to feel or understand why some of us like that expression, New Africa. For us, it means a new start here. We lost Africa, but we can have a new start here. We can have a new Africa here. And I'm sure New York here is better than New York across the ocean. And I hope that New Africa will be better than Africa across the ocean. Because right now, Africa across the ocean is in a terrible mess. And it's not the fault of the white man right now. At one turn in our history, it was the fault of white people. It includes Arabs, Muslims, who went over there and left good influences and bad influences, left help and hurt on the African people. But now it's no more the fault of anybody but the African people, because they are not in bondage to anybody. They are not colonies of other powers. So the fault is theirs. And they have gone after the right thing, after the wrong thing, pardon me. They have gone after the wrong thing, after trying to pursue excellence for their life. They have gone after the wrong thing, as we have gone after the wrong thing, after we got equal opportunity in this country, laws passed to protect our citizenship and our rights of citizenship. We started celebrating, having a good time, playing, laughing, dancing, getting high, and we forgot what God have done for us over all these many generations. God has permitted us to be used and abused more than any other soul of the human being. God has permitted the soul of the African people, African American people, or the African people, to be used and abused. But the God that permits that is obligated to do justice by everything. So in the measure that he has allowed us to be deprived, he must award us, and at least that measure or greater. So when we look at the sad history, as those sad turns of events in our life, beginning with the first one, putting us upon slave ships and bringing us here to be slaves as property of others, and following that at the terrible events in our life, when we look at those events and see the damage to our psyche, the damage to our life as human beings, and really the threat to our future as human beings, when we see that and realize that we have overcome that, we're still here, we're still human, and we're still performing excellent, in a very excellent way, men and women, that says to us that God has not yet finished rewarding us. God is not through with us. Freedom and equal opportunity here, that's just the necessary situation or the necessary condition for us to begin doing what God has formed us for. And I say formed us. We are no more Africans like the Africans of the continent of motherland Africa. We are a new people. We have a new mind. We have new spirit. We have new sensitivities as a people. We have a brand new ethos as a race. So we are different. We are different. We are different in the abstract picture, and we are different in the physical picture. We are not abstractly the same. That is, our mentality is different, spirit different, sensitivity is different, aspirations different, humor different. We are not Africans anymore of the motherland. We're Africans of this land. New Africans. New Africa. Yes, this is a fact. Praise be to Allah. So God has formed us a new people.
Wow.
Brother Kenneth,
That was powerful.
had you heard this address from 2003, Imam W. Mohammed, had you heard it before we played it?
No, no, I don't believe I have.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
What's your thoughts when you heard what Imam W. Deen Mohammed said about New Africa and the significance of us having this idea working for us here in America?
Oh, man, it's a lot to unpack in that, and from that particular address. Yeah, it was layered. But when I think about that particular part about being New Africa, it kind of lets me. I think about us being a new people, coming from one level of understanding, going into a completely different level of understanding with a new mind. And I remember when the Imam first started his address off, he was talking about business. He was talking about business and how a lot of our business leaders have taken on that name and have adopted that name. And I think that's a good thing. We are a new people, and we should function as if we were a new people. We should function as if we were free. We are free people, and we should strive to create institutions that reflect our new identity. Yes. And the email was emphasizing New Africa as one of those concepts, one of those identities that we should emphasize and try to create here in America. And with the right motivation, I can see a new Africa in America. That's the vision, to recreate America in our image or our understanding. So
I think
Praise be to Allah.
I think that's an excellent picture that you just gave, because what the Imam was inviting us to is to establish a model for America, where we have pockets of models all throughout America where we are heavily populated in these big cities, 4 or 5 blocks, New Africa,
Right.
business corridor, homes, all of that. Businesses, homes, eateries. Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed states that he is the successor to Imam W. Muhammad. And when I hear that language, successor, it just tells me that he wants Imam W. D. Muhammad's way of doing things to succeed. What's wrong with that? We know the good that Imam W. D. Muhammad's way and done for us. So Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed being his successor, he's putting that emphasis correctly back on this idea of New Africa. And you are familiar, Brother Kenneth, that we're having an inaugural event here in Cincinnati during the Juneteenth weekend called the New Africa Cultural and Business Summit. Now, it's the inaugural event which we hope to establish a foundation for future events that will be multi-days, have the opportunity for vending, with the consumers being able to buy different products and services, coming from those who have that mindset of New Africa, breathing that influence into the society. So we having this event here June 14, 2025, and Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed, the successor to Imam W.D. Muhammad, his title for that address is Enlightenment, Dignity, Excellence, and Establishment. Islam's help to the needy and affluent. And what I want to get from you, Brother Kenneth, your thoughts on this quote on the handbill from Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed in regards to the New Africa Cultural Business Summit. Quote, if you don't have moral courage and moral discipline, you can't manage resources to support the dignity of communities. Your dignity as a community is not just tied to your economic foundation or economic base. Your economic life addresses or want to address what are your essential needs. If you're not positioned intellectually and spiritually to recognize that your most essential need is the guardianship of your dignity, then your pursuit of wealth will oppress you and not free you. End of quote.
all praise due. Yeah, that's a fact. If this is my my interpretation of that quote, where you asked me what I thought about that quote, it kind of reminded me of what Allah says in the Quran. He told the angels to bow down to Adam, but don't bow down to him until he breathes, he breathes the breath into him, right? So it's like that was the morality that he breathed in. He breathed into Adam, and the angels, and this is my understanding. Angels represented that control over worldly affairs, right? So if you don't have morals and you don't know how to exercise that moral, if you don't know how to exercise those morals properly, the angels are not going to help you out. They're not going to be there to give you the necessary assistance that you may need. And the same thing with the world. If you don't have the correct morals, the world is actually going to work against you, right? Because Allah created the world. He created the world to submit to Him, and He told the angels to submit to man. But if man doesn't exercise proper morals and proper intelligence, the world doesn't have to submit to man. In fact, I believe the world would start acting in a way to take away from man that which man thought he had. That's my own interpretation of it.
Yes. Yes.
The world only benefits you as much as you're willing to submit to God. And if you fail to submit to God, then the world don't have to submit to you. So the wealth that you want to create for yourself will start becoming a hindrance to you. And eventually that hindrance would turn into a type of situation that in some cases, the end result might be death for a lot of us. Might be death, it might be disease, might be greed, it might be jealousy. It might be all of these things because we fail to use our morals and our intelligence in a correct fashion. So the worldly life, the dunya, or what they say, the dunya became a hindrance instead of a blessing.
And I'm listening to you, and the quote from Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed, I had shared that with quite a few people. And what stands out for me in that quote, like you had just mentioned, that he is saying that our number one resource is the preservation of our human dignity. If you don't preserve your human dignity, whatever you're going after will become a harm and not a benefit. And that sounds like what you were saying,
Yes,
Brother
sir.
Kenneth. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So praise be to Allah. Imam Hanif, any more questions, comments?
No, but just a little observation as the Imam was speaking about New Africa, and he put an emphasis on how Allah would allow trouble for us, and New Africa a way of as a reward to get us out of the trouble. So many folks have asked, why would Allah allow all of the terrible things that have happened to us to happen? And we hear our leader today explain just that in terms of us being the people today that come to the conclusion of establishing the just order. But while he was saying that, I was observing our leader, Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed. He was writing down everything that the Imam was saying on that emphasis right there. And I mean, he was really taking it in. And when I hear him speak today, I can understand why he has such clarity and the brevity to that matter of him calling the African American race and people to a much bigger responsibility to call humanity into this final hour right here. I thought when I seen that, it sort of struck me with that.
Before we prepare to close out this episode and speaking with our brother Kenneth James, just like Imam Hanif, what he just said in regards to Imam W. Deen Mohammed speaking on the purpose in which Allah allowed us to be enslaved as we were, for what purpose? And you see in his successor, the continuity and the continuation of that understanding. We just heard it last week in the live conversation with Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed, where he addressed the same thing. For what purpose did Allah allow us to be enslaved as a people? And he shared that purpose is for us to hold up moral justice. No one better prepared based upon what they have went through as a people to hold up moral justice, because we were denied. So praise be to Allah. Thank you again, Brother Kenneth, for joining us. As I shared with the viewing audience, you're currently, because you're a truck driver, you're currently
Yes, sir.
on the outskirts of Nashville, Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
We want to wish you safety in your traveling and delivering goods to and fro across America.
Tenfold.
Praise be to Allah.
At this point, what we would like to do, we like to, this is something new, but I thought it was special concerning the day being 5/15/2025. And today is a birthday of one of our leaders in the Association of Imam W. Deen Mohammed, our sister Farda and her twin sister Fatima. I want to share something coming from Sister Farda in regards to this special day. Today being 5/15/1975. This is from our sister, Sister Farda. 50 years ago today, our mother gave birth, unaware that hers and our father's blessing would be double. It is unsurprising that the guardian evolver, the cherisher and sustainer of all systems of knowledge, would increase the bounty of a new life as a community of believers was delivered from the increasingly restricted confines of one womb into the enlightening, divinely inspired liberation of another on the long journey up from slavery. And while my sister and I entered this world bearing the design of human excellence and the imprint of our parents' physical and spiritual DNA, it would be months before we received our personal names and our family name, Abdul Tawab. We were named by the son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Imam W. Deen Mohammed, the divinely inspired servant of God who was born for the mission, whose leadership began in 1975, the year of our birth, and whose mission we carry responsibility to recognize and succeed in every generation, a mission no less than that of remaking the world. Today, we commemorate 50 years of the leadership of Imam W. Deen Mohammed and the path he opened for the descendants of slaves to call mankind to reawaken to purpose and to labor on behalf of the just order. Through education and scholarship, for the sake of God, we thank the Almighty for the blessing of being born in that number. Happy 50th birthday, 20. We cannot stop now.
Praise be to Allah.
Our
Praise be
sister
to Allah.
Farda.
Sister Fit.
Happy birthday.
Happy
To
birthday
have
to the
that
sister.
history that
Happy
Imam
birthday
W.
to the
Muhammad
sister.
gave you your whole name. That's special.
Mhm.
What we would like to do now is share announcements regarding the leadership of Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed. You are cordially invited to the New Africa Cultural and Business Summit to take place in Cincinnati, Ohio on Saturday, June 14, 2025, Juneteenth weekend, featuring a major public address by Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed. His address is entitled Enlightenment, Dignity, Excellence, and Establishment, Islam's Help to the Needy and Influent. Doors open at 12 noon. Attendance is free and open to the public. For more information, you can go to MuslimAmericanMinistry.com. Imam Hanif, would you like to make the announcement and say some words in regards to the big event there in Rochester, New York?
Other than that, it happens Saturday, July 5th, and this is the 4th annual Independence Day address. We memorize our great leader, Frederick Douglass, who gave a speech in 1852 on July the 5th. Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed has been coming to Rochester for the past 4 years, and we always have an outstanding time. But this year, we have a very, very special, we believe, address that will enlighten our community. Rochester is known for its activism. It is known for some of the greatest leaders to come and preach there. The ending of slavery was preached in Rochester, New York, by Frederick Douglass. So to have our leader come here each and every year. It's a joy for us. But it's Saturday, July the 5th of 2025. It's going to be at the Memorial Art Gallery. Attendance is free and it's open to the public. We have a special performance by Rochester's international recording artist, Jimmy Highsmith, on that day. So we ask that if you're not doing anything around the 4th of July, make sure that you visit Rochester.
Thank you, Imam Hanif. And also with that, you can go to MuslimAmericanMinistry.com for more information. Join us every Sunday morning for a free, productive Islamic studies class taught in the tradition of Muhammad the Prophet with the methodology of Imam W. Deen Mohammed, led by his partner and successor, Imam Earl Abdulmalik Mohammed. This takes place every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. To register is free by going to eamspeaks.com and hit the tab Islamic Studies class. Now we would like to close out with Imam W. Deen Mohammed's prayer of purification of purpose. O Allah, we cannot manage this life for ourselves, not without you. Please make our life what you want it to be, what you prefer it to be. Do not allow us to act on our own. Help us to act only in obedience to you. We hear you, we obey you, we look to you for forgiveness, our Lord, and to you is our destination. Amen.
Amen.